Now everybody, it is finally happening. $750 stimulus payments have been confirmed, and these new relief checks will be going out very soon to all eligible Americans. So the new fourth stimulus check timeline is also being negotiated on, as well as when the next stimulus payments will be going out and who will be eligible for them. So here's some good news. Maine taxpayers could be getting a direct check for $750 from the state as part of a proposal from the governor and a supplemental budget of the state. This is thanks to an expected upgrade to the state's general fund from the Revenue Forecasting Committee. The upgrade is expected to be $411.6 million. Governor Mills says she wants to give half of the new revenue projections back to Maine people, which amounts in about $205.8 million. That's in addition to the $411 million she previously proposed to give back, racking up a total of $618.8 million, to be given out to 800,000 eligible Maine taxpayers. And that's something the governor's administration says is consistent with the calls of Republican lawmakers. State officials have said in a statement these new revenue projections could come during uncertain economic times nationally. Just in the last weeks, the cost of oil has increased from $72 to over $100 per barrel. Inflation, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, has reached its highest point in 40 years. And the Maine legislature still has to approve the governor's proposal. If approved, direct checks are expected to go out very soon, which is really good news. And according to the Biden administration, consumer prices are rising at their fastest pace in decades. And that inflation has been the most acute in household staple items like food, housing, and transportation, making it hard to escape the budgetary sting. The Consumer Price Index jumped 7.9% in February relative to a year earlier, the largest 12-month increase since January 1982. The U.S. Department of Labor has said that shelter, gasoline, and food were the largest contributors to this increase in overall prices in February. These three categories were the largest per components of household budgets in 2020. Together, they accounted to 63% of total expenses. What are your thoughts on rising inflation, everybody? Tell me in the comments. Then a couple weeks left until the April 18th tax deadline, but many Americans have already received their tax refunds from the IRS. Almost 38 million taxpayers have received tax refunds, averaging $3,400. And according to the IRS, if you file your tax return electronically and use direct deposit, you should get your refund in about 21 days. But even if you do everything right, you can still find yourself waiting for your money to arrive from the IRS. The 3-week estimate might be accurate for the average tax filer, but a variety of factors can hold up your tax refund. Also, everybody, if you received your child tax credit payments last year, make sure the amount on letter 6419 matches the amount you received. If an incorrect amount is entered, the IRS will need to further review your tax return, which the agency says will result in an extensive delay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd advise my friend I am prepared to close.
Recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With that, I yield myself the balance of my time.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I can't, before I go to my formal remarks, my friend and I will have a discussion about energy. I'm a big believer in renewables. My own state gets 42% of its energy or electricity from wind power, and we're number 2 in the country. I'd put our record up against anybody. So we really do believe in all the above, but we're very proud of having produced energy for over 100 years for this country in abundance, far beyond our needs, and exported them at reasonable prices. I'd also remind my friend, whatever the prices are, and I wish they were lower, they're cheaper here than just about any place else in the world. And we can thank literally the thousands of people I'm privileged to represent, but many of us represent over 10 million of the men and women that actually produce the energy this country needs, and frankly the rest of the world needs right now. I don't think they ought to be demeaned. I don't think their motives ought to be questioned. They are an extraordinary group of people, and they are patriotic and step forward whenever we need them. When times are bad, nobody seems to care what happens to them. When times get tougher, everybody wants them to step forward, invest more, and do more, and they do. And they will continue to do that in this time of crisis. So I don't think we need to be divided on this. No question, we need more oil and gas now. Europe needs more oil and gas now. And we've been taught a serious lesson about the dangers of becoming reliant on people like Mr. Putin and when they have the ability to impact world prices. Madam Speaker, in closing, although I oppose the rule, I'm greatly encouraged by the underlying appropriations measure. While not perfect, no bill ever is, it could always be better. It does represent a good compromise between Democrats and Republicans that will ensure full-year funding for fiscal year 2022. The bill before us continues Congress's policy of increasing our investments in defense spending, which is of critical importance at this time of global crisis. It provides for needed investments in health, including increasing funding for combating future pandemics and research into diseases like cancer. It funds education, infrastructure, energy production, roads, and care for our nation's veterans. It includes also, and I want to thank my friend for doing this, his proposal for a much-needed White House conference on hunger, and it's an area we work together, and I'm proud to acknowledge his leadership in that. It is, in sum, a bill Congress can collectively be proud of, and it's a bill that does the right thing for the American people. On the Russia oil ban, I am disappointed that Democrats walked away from a strong bipartisan bicameral deal that could have united us as a Congress and led to swift passage in the Senate. As it currently stands, it's unclear what a fate awaits this legislation in the Senate. I'm hopeful that my friends on the other side will reflect on this missed opportunity and work with Republicans to not only stand up against Russian aggression abroad, but also for homegrown American energy resources that are critical to achieving our goal in checking Vladimir Putin. And on the new $15 billion unpaid-for COVID supplemental, the data is clear that there are already adequate resources available. These could be fully utilized before additional funds.
As lawmakers, this inflation is real. It's harming people. It's 7.5%. That's a tax.
Awesome news, everybody. We got some exact dates about when the fourth stimulus check could be coming to you guys. So you want to continue watching this video to find the most important stimulus check, SSDI, and Social Security news. Social Security recipients can expect the first stimulus checks of February to be sent out within a couple of days, and the money will no doubt be very welcome as the latest figures show inflation is now at 7% and expected to climb higher in the coming months. Inflation jumped in December at its fastest year-over-year pace in nearly 4 decades, surging 7% and raising costs for consumers, offsetting recent wage gains and heightening pressure on President Biden and the Federal Reserve to address what was becoming America's central economic concern. It's really crazy to see how much prices have spiked during the economic recovery. Gas prices, while declining a bit from November to December, have surged in the past year. Grocery stores and businesses have been recently increasing as well. But the prices have wiped out the pay increases that many Americans have been receiving, making it harder for households to keep up with this. Social Security checks have seen a boost because of the 5.9% COLA increase. It was the biggest COLA rise in 40 years, and it means that checks will see a $92 increase on average, from around $1,500 to around $1,700. It comes as families with children can automatically get monthly SSI payments worth around $687 on average.